Hello and welcome to the Prosperity Portal podcast. I'm your host, Jill Alana, and I'm here to support you in everything you need to prosper in health, wealth, and relationship. I'm obsessed with everything manifestation, soul path, intuition, somatic embodiment healing, and I'm looking forward to supporting you in liberating to a life of love and luxury. True empowerment, true sovereignty, and aligned soul manifestation. I'm the founder of Jill Alana International, Jai Activations, and Jai Breathwork. And without further ado, let's go to the show and get you resourced in everything pro your spirit. Hello, community. Okay, Jill Alana Nixon coming to you live on Instagram and on the Prosperity Portal podcast. I am having a very special guest today, Talli. We are going to be talking. There she is. I'm going to pop her on. From the root cause of addiction. Okay, beautiful. Yay, it worked. Okay, try number 3. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Hi. You look absolutely stunning and glowing. Okay. So I was just saying, we are going to be talking about breaking free from the chains of addiction. And very briefly, Talli and I met in a community that she had been in for 7 years.
Yeah, about that.
Okay, about 7 years. It was a healing community where we were both trapped when I joined too, trapped in these healing cycles that it felt like you literally couldn't get out of. And you would have these high highs and then low lows. And it was a cycle over and over and over again because they didn't want you to actually heal the root cause. I ended up leaving this community. It's a long story. You can listen to the story in the podcast if you want. I left this community, and then Talli ended up, well, actually right before I left, you did the Sisterhood Healing, and then you came to a retreat right after shortly after I'd left the community that I was hosting, and then you came to a breathwork in Calgary. And within those 3 offerings, you drastically, like, I saw your whole life change, and you catapulted, and you got out of addiction, you left things that weren't in alignment, and you started it was like a new Talli, a whole new life. You actually look like a different person too. Like your glow, you look like your authentic self, which, I mean, when we were both in that community, I feel like our energy was getting siphoned and we were both so dull. But anyways, we'll talk about that after. So that's a little cold note on what we're going to talk about today. And if you are struggling with any sort of addiction, let me define addiction: any habit or compulsion that is causing short-term relief but long-term harm. This could be an addiction to a substance or any, like, drugs, alcohol. It could be sugar. I was highly addicted to sugar, especially like in that vortex. It could be plant medicines. It could be sex, porn, literally anything that's hijacking your life that you feel like you can't stop. And it does cause this relief in the short term, but long-term harm. You can also be addicted to a person, like a trauma bond. You could be addicted to work, to shopping. Again, it's any behavior that is causing long-term harm, but short-term relief, and you feel like you cannot stop. I have an addiction healing seminar on the 28th live. The replay will be available. There is a root cause healing in the seminar. So I'm not just teaching on addiction of what causes it, which is trauma, and the nuances of it, but we're actually going to go into a healing as well. If you are supporting somebody through an addiction, most people will actually push them further into that addiction because they're supporting that person in a way that is actually not helpful. Years and years ago, I got prescribed Adderall and was addicted to Adderall in high school. And I remember all the things that people would try and help with literally were just like backfiring. That's all I'll say with that. So if you want to know how to actually support somebody in a way that is helpful for them to become free, then that is also for you. The link is in my bio on Instagram, and it'll be in the show notes on the podcast, and the replay is available if you are listening to this after February 28th. So, Talli,
Hi,
what?
I'm Talli. For people that don't know, I have struggled with addiction probably for 7 years. I dabbled in like some drugs and alcohol a little bit before I got wrapped up in that group, in that cycle.
Yeah,
And then when I got in that cycle, it just got worse. Nothing was getting better, and it was just a circle. And yeah, so it's not necessarily the label of addiction. It was just not being able to process my emotions. I didn't know how
yeah.
to process my emotions. I didn't know how to process pain. So I was feeling these things, and it was just relief. Whatever the
Yes.
addiction was, whether it was alcohol or whether it was cocaine or whether
Yeah.
it was food or whatever, it was just giving me a sense of relief because I didn't know how to deal with the pain that I was feeling, the feelings that I was feeling.
A
So,
100%. So I just want to briefly, I studied with Dr. Gabor Mate years and years ago. He's a specialist in addiction, how the root cause is trauma. He was my first teacher on addiction. And he talks about this. He worked with the people in East Hastings for years and years and years. And every single one of them, they're addicted to like hard drugs. So it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, am I addicted to work? It's just something you can't stop. That's like numbing your emotions and going into the emotions and bringing healing into that access point is where the compulsion goes away. It's the relationship to the thing that keeps you in that cycle. So sometimes we won't be like, oh, I'm addicted to like work or I'm addicted to shopping, but like, is it a compulsion? And is it numbing those emotions? And he said when these people would take those drugs, it felt like a warm hug that they never got as a child. And basically every one of them was abused as a child in one way, shape, or form. And I think that's one thing that we have to keep in mind is that people, they're not like, there's such a negative connotation with quote addiction. All it is us trying to get relief because we haven't been taught to alchemize emotions through our somatic body, and that is the key, which is so interesting because that community and another community I was in that was similar both told me that emotions were bad, you're weak if you feel, and they stopped me from feeling my emotions many times. I remember grief was coming up once, and I was like going. I brought back to when my dog got stolen. I thought I was never going to see him again in this grief, and they like told me, "Shh, don't do that," and it was like seen as a weakness. And I realized that's because they want to keep people in these cycles and keep them trapped, which I would
like
love you to share.
every time we were supposed to feel something, it's like, do another meditation. Listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. And it's like, instead of sitting with myself and those feelings, it was like, listen to another meditation. Listen to whatever I'm programming into you, you know?
Literally.
And
And
it was
when,
just kept me in
oh my
this
God,
cycle.
100%. And like, I remember being in Egypt and there was all this stuff coming up for me. And I was like, truth was getting eliminated on all levels. Some truth got illuminated a few months before that. And then in Egypt, like deeper levels. And I remember like just doing those, like, I was just like trying to meditate for like 4 hours a day through it. And they were kind of like insinuating something was wrong with me because like I remember like one day like started crying and there was like people around, and then there was like this other day and I had all this rage, and now looking back I'm like my body was literally my compass
Get
and
me
trying
out
to
of here.
communicate some pardon.
It was like, get me out of here.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, it's not safe. This is not good. And then I'm like, something's wrong with me. Let me just fix myself after how many years of like, I think there's a level in the healing journey where we go into self-actualization And it's like, okay, we're expanding, right? But we don't need to stay in a freaking healing cycle for years and years and years. That's not the vibe. Sure, our traumas and wounds will come up as we self-actualize to be alchemized, but it's not going to feel like you're trapped in this like low over and over and over again. And I feel like not just the community we were in, but also a lot of like plant medicine communities. Well, this community some did plant medicine sometimes, but plant medicine communities or whatnot, they kind of preach this. I think it's so important to work on ourselves always, and I think everything is a mirror. And sometimes your body is needing to alchemize trauma, and then it's telling you, yes, get the f out. It's just not creating sovereignty. In fact, it's creating dependence. Okay, so let's go into this. So you were did all this start when you joined that community, or was it kind of there before?
It, I played around with stuff, but didn't feel like a full addiction until I went into this community and
Okay.
all this stuff was coming up and I didn't know how to process all these emotions and I
Yeah.
leaned on drugs and alcohol way more. And and it wasn't like all the time every day. So it would almost like trick myself that I'm not addicted to anything because sometimes I would go for a couple months without doing drugs or alcohol. And then all of a sudden I would go for a whole month where I would be doing it all the time. And it was
Yeah.
like and then I would go for like 6 months without it. Like so it was just a constant
Roller coaster.
roller coaster. Like there was never any consistency of growth. It
Yeah.
was just like, yeah.
100%. I can resonate with that a lot, and I've seen this in a lot of healing communities or spiritual communities, where they don't necessarily want you to evolve. They want to trap you, and it's unfortunate.
Well, then you
Uh,
spend more money. Like I put in so much money on
Girl,
this. Like I
you
just
have
was giving
no
money.
idea.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting any better. So here, let's do this. And then I feel like this, and that's also an addiction too, because I would feel like after the meditation, sometimes I'd feel a sense of high and a relief for a little bit. And
Yeah.
then it was just like drugs or alcohol. You'd feel really good for like a minute and then you'd feel like shit.
And
And
then
then,
you're like, oh, I need it. I need it again because it's
yeah,
covering up the access point. The trauma is the access point, and we need to bring the light of God, of source, to that and alchemize it through the somatic body. And there's literally this is crazy to me too, because I facilitate trauma healing and I've studied trauma healing for over 7 years. You don't just go facilitate trauma healing, but for some reason, certain people are self-appointed gurus and they're like, I'm a healer, but they don't know how to actually walk somebody through the trauma. There were so many times that I witnessed people in a trauma response and they had no idea how to walk them through and then gaslit them. And it happened to me too, but I watched it happen to so many people. And so
gaslighting
when
is
we actually,
crazy in those communities.
oh my God, it's insane.
There's something wrong with you. If you question anything, there's something wrong with you. You got to fix you. Like they're always telling you that you have to fix you. It's like, and it's always focused on the things that are wrong with you and not focused on, hey, the things that are right with you. And
Literally. Oh,
amplifying like the good things about yourself and not always thinking that you have to heal. Like you have to heal, you have to heal, you have to heal. No, like you're not always wrong. There's not always something bad with you. Like
100%. 100%. Sometimes our body's just signaling to us. And it's, yeah, I mean, and it was interesting because I remember when I joined that community, it was through my ex, but I like was like, I don't know, about something just like felt off. And then I gaslit myself. They gaslit me, that I gaslit myself. And I remember being like, all the people in this community are like weak, like not as weak people, but like their energy was weak. It was getting like, it was like, I could see them kind of being yeah, not empowered in any way, shape, or form. They weren't sovereign.
And you
Um,
stood out to me from them. Like, I was attracted to you. There was something about you that I was like,
yeah.
I love this girl. I love this girl. Like, why do I love this girl? Why do I want to be around her? And then you did a sisterhood masterclass or something, and I was like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. And I loved it. And I was like, this was so amazing. I'm like, and then you said you were doing your retreat, and I'm like, I need to go to this retreat. Like, I don't know what it is, but I need to go. And then after that, my first retreat with you, so I did a master class. I went to a retreat, and after that, like, my whole life started to shift because, and I wasn't addicted to you or dependent on you
Yeah,
for fixing me or listening to your meditations or needing to
yeah,
go to your next master class. I wasn't,
yeah,
there wasn't dependency. It was me taking initiative after we hit some root causes. I took
yeah,
initiative to take care of my own healing, to take care of my own sovereignty.
yeah,
I went to some of your master classes after that, but I didn't
yeah,
need to go to all of your master classes. I went to one breathwork ceremony, but I didn't need to
yeah,
go to all of your ceremonies. I didn't need to
yeah,
buy whatever you were selling.
right,
So that was the difference
yeah,
between someone who's standing in their sovereignty and people that are trying to keep other people in a loop, you know?
yeah. And this is like sovereignty is probably, it's one of my top three values. It might be number one. It's one of my top three values. I have multiple values that are important to me, but it's definitely a top three because, and my whole business is about sovereignty, sovereignty of the soul, sovereignty of choice, sovereignty with money, like sovereignty in relationships, sovereignty of choice. And so this is the difference. I think you were attracted to me, and you could tell me if this is wrong, but like you felt a resonance because I help people become sovereign. I help people access their own power. I help people connect to God's source. I share lessons, I use modalities, but I'm not like, oh, I'm your healer. I don't pose as God in between you. Like I see people in their power and I support them in facilitating them to their own power so they can become sovereign and make their own sovereign choices. So there isn't a codependent relationship. It's a relationship based in sovereignty. And I
Yeah.
think this is why you felt that essence. And this is also why, like, I remember being so angry in that community sometimes. And I was like, why am I so angry? And I couldn't pinpoint it. And after I realized, I was like, oh, because I'm angry because they're posing as helping people, but
Hmm.
they're actually keeping people entrapped.
Yeah.
And then I became a threat when I started to question it. Um, which
But your questioning made me question things because I was just following along blindly almost
yeah,
in this cycle of not really even knowing that I was in a cycle. And then you started to question things, which made me kind of like question things too. I mean, if you're going to question things, maybe I should question things. And then I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. No. And then it
yeah,
just I let go of that. And then I let go of so many other things. I was letting go of attachments. Like
yeah,
after that retreat, I just started to let go of attachments left, right, and center. I let go of friends that weren't serving me anymore. I let go of my
yeah,
job. And then I was like, okay, let's be sober now. I let go of alcohol. I let go of drugs. I just cut myself completely off of everything that didn't
yeah,
serve me. And I'm like in this loop for 7 years of doing the same thing over and over again. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like sovereign. Like,
yes,
whoa, I like stepped out and it was I was afraid to even talk publicly about it because I was like, oh, the shame of being stuck in something for so long and the embarrassment that I would be involved in a cult like thing, you know? Like
yeah,
I thought that was really
yeah,
embarrassing to talk about because what does that make me look like? But I mean, if I don't talk about it, like how are other people gonna know? You know, just
yeah,
like you talked about it and it made me think about it, you know? So
yeah. 100%. And it's like, I mean, I had shame when I came out about it too. And even like before I shared my story with how I got pulled into it and all the things, like the thing was like when I left, like there was a few women that were trapped in that, you being one of them, and other people who just like, another one came to, well, you came to the second retreat. Another one came to that, and there was like people who have taken there's been a number of women who have left that community and found through sovereignty. Even before I spoke about what happened, they just felt some sort of resonance of the sovereignty. And I feel like I was blessed because I had been facilitating trauma healing way before that I was in that community. And so I could see what happened, and I went through it myself when I was actually sovereign and supported to step into my power versus being a community that wanted me entrapped. So I had been in, like when I did my somatic training and addiction healing trainings um and shamanism training and breathwork and whatnot, like I had seen what and felt what true sovereignty was, and I'd been guiding people there. And then I got pulled in this, and then I get it. I had shame, but I'm like, okay, how did I get pulled into this, like knowing what I know? And I truly believe it was like to have deeper layers of discernment, and then to show the power of like just of trusting your intuition and not gaslighting yourself. And I mean, I think of so many reasons on a soul level I had to go through that to see like the nuances of this, because it's not just in that community. I see this all over, all the time. And it, it's it I've worked through a lot of like rage of it, but for a long time I had so much anger because I would witness people getting hurt and getting deceived. And sometimes, and I actually, when I left, I remember I started this community very briefly. It was a free community with some of the girls in there because I'm like, oh, they're trying to pin all the girls against each other, which is another tactic. And some of them really resonated with it. And there was other ones that literally were still like so infatuated with the head guy. And I'm like, and they're like, they would start to like wake up, and then they would get like pulled back in. I swear they use like, I mean, you study narcissistic pathology and you see all
Yeah.
of this. It's like, it's, and if we get into the quantum, there's other things that play that made him very attractive to people. I mean, it was interesting because I was actually attracted to him at first. And then when I started dating my ex, who's best friends, well, became best friends with him, all of a sudden I wasn't attracted to him anymore. And I'm like, this isn't a natural thing. I'm like, there is energetic things happening in like the activations, in the ceremonies, in whatever, that are actually um making me like made me think, because I look at like, if I'm like, this person's not even attractive. Okay, sorry, that was really mean. But it's like not my type, I'll just say that. But I was at first, and I think that's part of what drew me in. It was also my ex. We weren't dating at the time. It's a long story. He was a friend and whatever. It's a long story. But the point is, it was interesting because I'm like, how did this all suddenly stop when I started dating this person? And I was like, none of that attraction was like organic. And then all these women started coming out about that they were having dreams about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and then after I left, oh my God, a lot of women contacted me and were like, there was like hooks in me and this and that. And like, whew, I mean, we could take this conversation into what they do with siphoning the sexual energy, but
Yeah, but we're going to talk about addiction.
we're going to talk about
We're
addiction.
going to talk about addiction.
Yes.
I
So
mean, that's a whole
it's a
other
whole other
rabbit hole that we
conversation.
can
It's
jump
more than
into.
blue. But there was a reason we looked like corpses when we were in there. And we're like, energetically so.
Oh my gosh, the years that came off me and the last to really true embody like the God self, to bring God into your
Yes.
heart, into your body, into your mind, into your life. Like
Yes.
you don't age. And when you're outside of God, you age. And when you're inside in the sphere with
Yeah.
God, you like my hair was going gray. And my hair actually went back to going brown. I mean, I
Wow.
have a couple hair, like gray hairs, but it was like really, really gray. I actually started to go blonde, decided to streak my hair blonde because
Yeah. I remember.
I wanted to cover up all the grays. And
Wow.
now you look at my hair, it's back dark again, and I'll get some grays, but it's like it went back to its natural color.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, that's crazy because my hair was legit falling out when I was in that. And it grew so long since it's been almost 2 years. Well, I actually just got it trimmed, but like it's like longer than it's ever been before. And it was like falling out, it wouldn't grow. Anyways, yes, we anti-age. Okay, so let's go back to addiction. So you literally, we went and alchemized the root cause. You
Hmm.
found your sovereignty, you found your power, and the addiction, did the charge to do the things just start dissolving? Because
So,
sorry.
right after um the first retreat, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I did drugs. I was drinking a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
my charge was like the cocaine. Like I needed to stay away from that because I could
Yeah.
feel addiction to that, and I had in the past addiction to that. And
Yeah.
after, I probably did it 3 times that year,
Mm-hmm.
but that was still an addiction. That it was
Mm-hmm.
still in me, and then I was like, well, I'm not really addicted to alcohol, but
Yeah.
it's when I did the alcohol that I wanted the cocaine. And whether I did it
Okay.
once that year or 3 times that year, there was a there was a root cause in there. So when I
Yeah.
completely said no, I'm done with alcohol
Yeah.
as well now because that's pulling me into somewhere where I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And then I was able to like, it was the devotion to myself that it was,
Yes.
and a discipline. I was like, I'm
Yes.
no longer going to partake in alcohol
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like who I am. I don't,
Yeah.
it's not who I want to be anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I attended the second retreat, I walked into that retreat sober. But then we could start tapping into the shadow work and the root cause of
Yeah.
these things. And I don't know if anyone ever came to the boat parties. We had, I think, two. And I just hid in the kitchen because I had so many feelings coming up because I couldn't numb them all the time anymore,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I could just
Yeah.
feel everything, and I'm hiding in the kitchen at the boat parties because I was just like, I was too overwhelmed by people. So I sat by myself a lot. I spent almost like the last year by myself, and I
Yeah.
sat I got my chat GPT to show me how to do shadow work because I felt like the need to do shadow work.
So
But you brought it up at the retreat, but then I took the
yeah.
initiative and the sovereignty to go sit by myself and do it every single day. I cried and I devoted a ceremony to myself and I did rituals every single
Yeah.
day. And I wasn't connecting to people very well because people were a little overwhelming for me while I was still processing so much. So,
Yeah.
but I was connecting to the land and I was connecting to
Yeah.
the birds. I'd go and sit with the birds and they would come and they would land on me and talk to me. And I was like, what is happening? So I was going through some pain, but I was also going through some awakening of some gifts that
Yeah.
I got to bond with the land. I got to bond with the trees and the birds and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool.
Oh my God. Okay, so our dormant gifts actually lie underneath our deepest traumas. I don't know if you knew that, which is why gifts start to get unlocked when we go to the core root. So that doesn't surprise me. And I didn't know that. That's so cool. Oh my God. Okay, so what do you think? Hi, Danya. What do you think the difference is between when you were in that community that you were trapped in for 7 years that actually amplified those addictions?
Hmm.
And then after the retreats, where obviously we did trauma healing, we did somatic embodiment, we also do other practices that are so fun. Like we weave it in. It's not just like deep, heavy work. It's like We do deep work and we also have so much fun. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope everyone has fun.
No, we do. We do. It was fun. Yeah, when I
So,
went to those like those retreats and those communities, I would get anxiety. I would have anxiety the whole time. It wasn't like fun.
oh, the
I
community that
cried.
the
Like
cult one
the
that we,
cult ones, I would have anxiety and I would
yes,
cry. And I'm like, what is wrong with, because you think there's something wrong with you the whole time. You're like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? But then when I attended your stuff, I felt peace. Yeah,
yeah,
we would cry, but I wouldn't get stuck in the crying where I couldn't get out of the crying.
yeah.
I would cry, I would process, and I would move into
That's
the next thing, right?
the
But
alchemy
the alchemy of it,
of,
yeah.
of the trauma. So what they do in those communities is they activate your trauma. Firstly, also the emotions are like body saying no. Why don't we listen? We gaslight ourselves. But thank you for saying that with the peace, because that's such a it is a different feeling. And sometimes those source frequencies, the frequency of God that we bring in and call in and amplify in the unified field at the retreats, like when we're doing breathwork and activations, but also just like in general, also when we're doing the somatic practices, like those are the fun ones, like the dance and walking in different somatic embodiments. There is and it's important with like alchemy and like root cause healing to have fun, because having fun and joy is a very healing frequency. We're not meant to just like stay in like the deep depths of it the whole time. But what I see is in those communities where they don't want you to actually become stubborn and actually call your power back, they you'll go into the trauma, but they don't know how to walk you out of it. Versus when you processed it, like you just said at the retreat, you're literally alchemizing that energy that was stuck in your body for however many years. That's where the sovereignty comes from.
Yeah.
That's where the empowerment comes from. And that's where I believe, and I'm curious your opinion on this, where you were like, before you're like, okay, I need to like use these things to numb, versus after the retreat, you're like, no, actually, I'm going to be with these emotions, be by myself. I'm going to come back to my soul, and I'm going to make a choice. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go sober. Not that like it's because you still had to find your power in that. But from what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was a lot easier because you had worked through things, the root of things, and alchemized them, and you found your sovereignty. Therefore, the choice to not do cocaine or drink was a lot more easier to make that choice. Is that
Yeah.
correct? I'm
Yeah.
curious to
It
know.
was like the choice of self-love and self-devotion was so much easier. It was like the choice before that was like it was a loop of shame of oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do this, or I did this, and and I feel so awful about it, and I was just stuck in that loop. And then after learning how to alchemize things properly and process things
Mm-hmm.
properly, then I was able to go home and do it by
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
and not get stuck like in the loop forever, right?
Yeah.
So I
100%.
think we, like us doing this video, we need to make awareness of like there are like false prophets out there, and
So many.
you really have to discern. You really have to go inward and be like, okay, what is not, this is not, it's looking in the mirror and being like, okay, this is not working for me. And it was also that piece of identity that I was like, I've been doing this for so long and I've been telling everyone else to do this for so long. How can I say that I was wrong,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, I get it. I mean, that community I didn't really tell many people of, a couple, but there was another community before, which was more in personal development. And I told so many people of, and then the truth kind of came out and clearly didn't learn the lesson there. But I get that shame, because you're like, whoa, like, and then, but when when we have compassion and when we out shame, it can no longer live. And this is a big part of the gaslighting in certain, like you said, like false prophets. And I mean, it's all coming out now. Everything's getting revealed because of the energies of the planet. I mean, we're seeing it left, right, and center. But one of the things they do is the gaslighting creates more layers of shame, of us thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with us. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. Yes, we all have some sort of trauma, whether it's big T trauma or small T trauma, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. The energy just needs to move. And once the energy moves, you get your power back, you get your sovereignty back, you feel more free versus like, yeah, this cycle of and I'm just seeing so many energetics right now. This cycle that some of them like keep you in, and then they keep you in dependency of you. For anybody who's like trying to discern, this is what it felt like in my experience in these communities, where I felt like, and I've been in both. I've been in with like worked with mentors and retreats and whatnot, where I felt sovereign and supported to step into my power deeper. And then I've also experienced this. So the difference from my experience is when we are in a community with a quote guru or personal development, whatever, that doesn't want us sovereign, it feels like you need them or you're going to literally die in the body. Like, it doesn't feel like you're literally gonna die, but your body feels like, oh, I need this. It's literally like an addiction. It's literally like an addiction.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, I'm choosing this from a sovereign place. I don't need to work with this mentor. I don't need to go to this retreat. Like, I'm going to a retreat in Costa Rica in November. Like, I don't need to go to that retreat. It's like in a mastermind that I'm in. I also don't need to be in that mastermind, but I chose to from a sovereign place versus the energy where it's like you feel like you're grasping. And here's the thing too, like I, for some reason, just I understand energy and I've taken a lot of courses on this, but things got activated from past lives or whatever. Like, that being said, and I don't want to sound conceited, but I have helped a lot of people like truly find their sovereignty. Like, the testimonials are literally insane. That being said, I can't help anybody who needs me from a place of you're God. I'm not God. It's power to power. And so when we walk in with holding containers to truly help people in the sovereignty, we actually call in people who are more self-led. And this isn't to say that people aren't going to be self-led in a vulnerable place, but when we like, nobody can, and I think this is one of the biggest distortions in certain spiritual communities, nobody can quote save you if you're not willing to do your part. If you're like, but those communities want people in victimhood. Because then you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and then you're like, years down the road and you're like, what's shifted? If
Exactly.
nothing shifted, there's something to look at. I mean, my life went to shit during that period. Let's be honest. I felt like I was thriving before I joined that community. My whole life went to shit. Everything went to shit for a while. And then we got out and then things started shifting again and thriving. And like, I love self-actualizing. I love being the best self version. Like, I'll always, be working on how do I be the best version of myself. But it's not because something's fucking wrong with me. It's like, because I just want to grow and evolve. It's a very different energetic.
Oh, totally.
So I just went on a whole riff there. That's the difference. But this is it. Okay, this is what I was going to say. With those communities, it was almost like that person was God. And he had all the answers versus guiding you to yourself, your body. What's your body and intuition telling you? What's the trauma that's distorting your intuition that we can clear? And then what do you think the thing is? So it's like they want you to think that they are God, because if you think they are God, you'll always be dependent on them. And this is how they create those dependency loops.
And you're not going to turn to God. You're not going to call God
Yes.
into your heart and into
Yes.
your soul and into your mind, and actually the real God, the source of everything,
Yes.
source love, love. You're not
Yes.
going to pull love into your whole body,
Yes.
and because you're sourcing outside of yourself, and they
Yes.
want you to do that, because they're siphoning your energy that way.
A
But
100%. And
but
it's
what a freedom to have,
um,
to be connected to God, and then to start seeing God in everything, to start seeing God in the trees and in the land and in the birds, and start to be able to connect to nature, and then to start seeing God in people too. It took me a little bit, but then I could actually really just start to see God in everyone I talk to,
yeah.
like, wow, like I see God in your eyes. You're so beautiful, to start to see the good in people
Yes.
instead of that, like those communities are talking about the bad and the broken, but well, what's the good in people, and start to see the God in people, because that's bringing the God in you. And the God is in everything. God created everything. The creator
Really.
created everything. So let's start seeing God in everything, rather than distortion and
Yes.
parasites. I remember 7 years ago, when I first came home, I was like, everyone's got parasites and we got to get the parasites out of people. And I'm like, and now I'm just like, oh my God, no.
Oh my God.
like, it's like,
And
no, we got to see the light in people, and we got, like, God will remove. You bring God into your body, there's no parasites that can exist, you
exactly. It
know?
literally energetically clears them.
Yeah.
And yes, you can do like physical parasite cleanses too, but if you don't deal with the energetics, the physical ones won't work.
Yeah.
But that it's okay. Two more things just came through. So please remind me. I want to talk about how we switch addictions if we don't heal the root cause and why that happens. But I want to talk about God first, and God/source, whichever word resonates. I use them interchangeably. The creator of all that is, and like you said, the true God. Distortion, illusion cannot live in that frequency. And so if what my biggest thing is, if I'm ever hiring like a business coach or a mentor or gonna go to a retreat or whatever, right? Because I want that mirror, not because I'm dependent on them, but because I value that mirror, then one of the biggest things I look for now with everything I've learned is, are they helping me find my power, and are they connecting, like guiding me towards God/source? Or are they posing as the middleman of God?
Mm-hmm.
Such a big, that's like one of the biggest, I hope, takeaways from this is like, use that as discernment, because
Yeah.
anybody who's pointing you to them to have all the answers versus to helping guide you to the answers within yourself, or connecting you, helping you connect with, better said, God source,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the key. They should always be guiding you towards God. I mean, look at I just forgot the word I was going to say. Um, uh, oh my goodness. Um, Ministry. They're
Yeah.
not pretending they're God.
Yeah.
They are guiding you to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can have our businesses like become ministry to help people get guided to God, or our work or whatever it is, right? Versus, oh, I'm going to say that I'm God and I'm better than everybody. And the whole parasite thing, man, I remember being in that community and they were so strict on like what you could eat, what you can't eat. Like, I'm like, do y'all even like eat anything other than chicken and broccoli? And then like some weird stuff that I'm not going to get into, but it was like trying to take away all of like the beauty of life, like you said, the beauty in other people. And meanwhile, a lot of the
But
shadows were,
just focusing on all, and like, and that's where sometimes conspiracy theories it's just focusing so much on the negative, when there is a whole God world out here, that is beautiful and that is pure and that is clean
Yes.
and that is healthy. And if we're stuck in the lower frequencies, focusing on parasites and focusing on what's wrong with the world and what's wrong with everyone and focusing on everyone's negatives, we're missing like this paradise over here, you
Totally.
know? Yeah.
Yes. But they don't want you in that freedom. Yeah.
But what freedom it is when you finally get there. And I mean, I had to do like the dark night of the soul where like this whole last year of when I committed to stopping all alcohol and substance, I I spent a lot of time alone and I had to sit
So
with
important.
myself. And so many people, they sit with them, they don't want to sit with themselves. They need to be on the phone, they need to be making friends, or they need to go here, or they need to be cleaning, they need to be working, they need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And nobody will just sit because I was there. I know that. And I
Yes.
finally was able to just sit with myself
Yes.
and like process that,
Yes.
right?
This.
Hmm.
Okay. This is w- this is what so many people are running from. And I want to loop this back to addiction. So I will do that in a second, but this is how we leak energy. When we're constantly grasping, I need to be with everybody all the time. I need a bazillion friends. And like, I get it, guys. I used to have so many like friends. Like, I was friends with half of Vancouver, and they're still like acquaintances. Like, if I see them, it's like there's no animosity, but like, I realized I was running. This is like years back. I worked in the service industry. I was an actress. I was a people pleaser. I never called anything out. I was Switzerland, not my authentic self, and everybody loved me.
Hmm.
That's not, I'm not saying that in a conceited way. I would just fawn. So who do I need to be so that they like me? It was a trauma response, but I
Yeah.
couldn't sit with myself for even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so what I now know with energy is this is why it's so important. And like looping this back to God, and then we'll talk about addiction in a second and loop it back to that. But that ability to sit with yourself is so important because we start channeling. And this is also why I believe, like at the retreat, you shifted so much after trying for 7 years, because we're working on the vertical plane, not the horizontal. We're not trying to get from somebody else. We're not trying to grasp. And it's the ability to sit and alchemize your traumas and work with the somatic body, which for people who want more confidence, well, the bravery to uh, to alchemize in the somatic body or to walk in a certain energy, which will bring up uncomfortable feelings from the past because it's energy moving through the body, is how you create confidence. That stuff is earned, but we're sourcing from God, from source. And when we are doing all the things, whether it's like, yeah, like whether it's an addiction to a substance or to partying or to a person, we're trying to get from that person versus getting that from God source. And it leaks your life force energy. This is why people are so tired because
Hmm.
they're leaking all their life
There's
force and they're like,
pieces everywhere. There are pieces of them attached everywhere. Totally.
yes.
But
And
when I
there's,
sat with myself, shame was the main thing. Like, and when you have, and I'm not saying that I was a bad mother, like my son's whole life, but like I had shame of when I did do drugs or when I did choose friends friends over him, when I made all those bad choices. I had to sit, and it's uncomfortable because you don't like that version of you
yeah,
that wasn't a good mom at this at the and I had to sit with that version of me that wasn't a good mom, and I just had to feel her, and I had to
yes,
forgive her.
yes,
And for like it is it actually becomes easy to forgive other people. Like, forgiving yourself is the hardest
The
thing
hardest.
ever to say, you were just trying your best. You didn't know any better. You
Yes.
got caught in a loop. You were just trying to cope. And I really just had to sit with, and it's anxiety. It makes you feel like, oh, you need to run. I wanted to run from that person that did that to my son because I hated
Yeah.
her. That was self-hate. I hated her.
Self-resentment.
So
Yeah.
I really just had to sit with her and forgive her. And that was, oh my gosh, like I had to do it every single day. And it was
Yeah.
a process. And I finally feel like I obviously, I'm not coming here from perfection. I'm coming here from integration of
Mhm.
saying that I still have more work to do, but the self-love and the self-forgiveness is the biggest thing with addiction
Yes.
and with recovery from addiction, because that's
Yes.
what comes up when you stop, is that shame.
That.
Yeah.
Well, addiction is trying to cover up that uncomfortable feeling. And it's an imprint. It's a trauma imprint. It just means stuck energy. So
Hmm.
this is why, like, and this is what we're doing, guys, on the addiction healing seminar for the healing part, is we're going to go back to a moment, and you can go back to as many moments on the replay as you want, a moment where you had shame, that now you have shame about it, but a moment where you needed something and you did the thing to run instead,
Hmm.
to numb, to escape, and alchemize that version and bring her or him what they needed energetically in that moment. That's where the healing occurs. That's where we become free. That's where we become sovereign. And that's where the integration starts to happen.
Hmm.
Otherwise, what we do is, I see this a lot in with certain like addiction healing processes, is they'll stop the one thing and they're like, I'm giving my power away to this thing. I am an X. Like, well, I'm I'm just gonna say it, like, I'm an alcoholic. Let's say that in AA. It's one of the things that they have people say.
Yeah.
Where I don't agree with this is that now you're identifying with that thing, you're still
Hmm.
giving your power to the thing. And even if you stop the thing, if you don't heal the root cause, then what happens is, and I've had a number of people that I know go through that process and stop drinking. However, one person that I know, like, just shifted that addiction for now then a porn addiction.
Yeah.
Somebody else did it for like a sex addiction. They just could not stop.
Food. Oh, food.
Food,
I
yes.
started to shift to food. So I gained a lot of weight actually this year. And I feel like I have dropped the weight again, and I'm in
Yeah.
a sovereign place again. But I did shift it to food, and I felt like, because you're reaching for
Yes.
something. And
That. And it's the
yeah,
shame. It's still the shame cycle. Well, let me cover this up. And then,
yeah,
oh no, I just ate a whole cake or whatever it is. Like,
yeah,
I'm just throwing things out there, right? And
yeah.
then you feel bad about yourself. And you're
Mm.
still trying to run from the energetic. The only way out is through. It has to be alchemized through the body. And so when we don't heal with the root causes, what happens, and we're not shaming anybody here with this conversation. Like, we both gone through this in different ways, right? And so but it is that, I mean, man, I look back when I like was addicted to Adderall, and then I went cold turkey and I stopped it, and it was the hardest 6 months of my life. I didn't have any support. But then all of a sudden I became addicted to work, and I would work like 18 hours a day. And then like sugar when I was in that group and whatever, like, it shifted forms until I actually alchemized the root cause. And now it's like, it's not like, sure, I work a fair amount, but I also like take off time when I mean, I run my own schedule, so, right? So like, my work is really important to me and I love it. And also I have time to rest and
No,
like
it's
have
finding the
fun.
balance. It's fun. It's,
Balance.
it's
Exactly.
having the balance. Like, you're allowed to work, you're allowed to do all these things, but it's having that balance where I went away for the weekend last weekend, and I came home, and my body was just telling me that we needed to sit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting, and I'm like 2 days into sitting on the couch, and I'm like, but I need to be doing this. I should go to yoga. But what about the and I had all these things and my body just kept saying sit. And I'm like, but this is too long. This has been 2 days. What are you talking about? And it was just sit. And another day went by and I said, I surrender. I'm sitting. I turned on the TV and I barely watched the TV. I was just, my body just wanted to sit. And it was just so okay. And then when I surrendered to it, allowed myself to sit,
Yeah.
I have been going to yoga every day now. And like I've gone, and I'm back into the mill. But you have to
Yeah.
listen to your body
That,
about the balance of rest and go, rest and
yes.
go.
Because when we get into it, like if it's for me, like with work before, it was like I could not stop. I would be so exhausted. I'm like, I can't. It was like a trauma response.
Yeah.
And so again, I had to alchemize core imprint of that. And then I'm like, oh, and business actually does a lot better when I'm not running it from a trauma response, but when I'm doing it because it's my soul mission and it's in alignment and my soul guided me to like do this. Never thought I would. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now and supporting people their sovereignty. Never in a million years. I used to be an actress and like working in restaurants, but God guided me here. And like that, it's like when that's your intuition. And it's like these pulls, like they if you were to not listen, that would be a prime example of like that thing running your life versus you having sovereign choice. Like this whole conversation is like rooting into what is sovereignty and
Mhm.
how do we have a sovereign life, right? To not be like, oh, like I'm just gonna.
Just having anything else controlling you but
Yeah.
you, even like I'm not able to sit on the couch because I need to be doing something because I that will make me good enough if I'm working or if I'm doing yoga or if I'm doing, and my body was like, no, you're good at, you need to surrender to being good enough right here right now, and
Yes.
then you can do
Yes.
everything else.
And that's again the shame, the thought patterns associated with the frequency of shame are I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, something's wrong with me, etc. And I'm just briefly interrupting this episode to talk about the root cause of addiction and what you can do about it or how you can support somebody who's going through it. So if you are struggling with addiction or if you love somebody who is, I want to gently say something that might change everything. Addiction is not the problem. It's the strategy. It's the nervous system trying to regulate pain that it never learned how to process. It's the body that is looking for relief, for safety, for something to numb what feels unbearable to the person dealing with it. Willpower alone will never heal what trauma created. Trauma is the root cause of addiction. This is why I'm hosting a live seminar called Healing Addiction at the Root. In this healing seminar, we're not going to be managing symptoms. We're not shaming patterns. We're going beneath them. We're going into the nervous system, into the unmet need, into the original rupture. If you are ready to stop fighting yourself and to start understanding yourself, this space is for you. If you are supporting somebody through addiction and you find the more you desire to support them, the more you push them into it or they block you out, you are likely trying to support them in a way that is working in the opposite of your intention. Because what we learn about addiction in terms of just talk therapy doesn't actually address the root cause. The details are in the show notes. There will be a replay if you cannot make it live. And if you're listening to this after we did the live event, you can purchase the replay and there is a healing for the root cause of what is causing the addiction in the seminar. So it's not just an information seminar, we're actually going into trauma healing in the seminar. Okay, without further ado, let's go back to the show. I just saw another connection with all of this. It's like these high highs, like in that community that we were trapped in for a little bit and got out of, and here we are free. But
Yeah.
it was high highs sometimes, but then
Hmm.
low lows. And this is the same thing with addiction, whether it's an addiction. I see this a lot in the plant medicine community. It's like these high highs and then a deep crash,
Hmm.
or like sugar, same thing, high and then crash,
Yeah.
or an addiction to a person that's unhealthy for you, like whether it's a partner that's not in alignment, or a situationship, or addiction to sex or porn. It's like these high highs but low lows. And
Hmm.
so that the high, what's happening here is the high is masking the wound, the shame. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it gets so sneaky because some people, I'm going to drop a little transmission on this. I'm running a program called Solo Book right now, and I like to talk about one of the themes is shame. But what some people are like, oh, you just have to convince yourself, and mind manipulation of um why you're unique or special or amazing. We're all unique. We're all special. We're all amazing. We're all children of God, of Source, unique, special. But the thing that makes us feel like we don't feel that way is the shame. So some people are trying to convince their mind that they are with like journaling or whatever. And I'm like, that's only going to work maybe 10% and it's not going to stick. And they're like, why is nothing shifting? I'm like, because that technique doesn't actually address the shame that made you feel unworthy. Once you alchemize it, you're like, oh, I am worthy. Like you don't need to prove to yourself. You don't need a journal for however many, like every day for however long, to try and convince yourself that you're worthy. And I'm just like, it's so interesting because even some personal development, I do really love personal development. I love self actualization, is a better way of saying it. But the self actualization in the most potent way, in my experience, is to actually come in to resonance, peace, self-love in your body by alchemizing these other energies, and then you just become the best version of yourself. Like you sat with that and then you started going to yoga every day.
Hmm.
Versus some people are using personal development because they don't feel worthy and they're trying to feel worthy by fixing themselves. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with, like, I'm talking to everybody here, like there's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just that we have stuck energy in the body that wrote a matrix of the mind from that trauma. The trauma is holding a paradigm that now lives in your unconscious mind that you're not good enough. As soon as you move that energy, that paradigm literally crumbles. This is neuroscience. This isn't woo. This is neuroscience.
So if I was sitting on the couch and I got up to go do yoga because I was like, I should be doing yoga, I wouldn't have been able to process that shame. I would have been
Exactly.
feeding in a bad way. Yoga would not have been healthy for me in that sense. I would have been doing
Yes.
it because I wasn't good enough. So guess what? My body wouldn't be designing itself to its perfect state of glory. It would be
Yes.
I'm doing it because I hate myself, not because I
Yes.
love myself, right? So then when I sat with
Yes.
myself, I said, "Okay, I'm listening to you. I surrender to this." Then I was able to go into yoga because I love my body, not because there was something wrong with my body and I need to fix my body and I need to do this
Yes.
and this and this. It's like, I actually love doing yoga. It makes me feel good. I'm going into this class.
Yes.
I love myself and I love my body. So ever since I stopped drinking and started to eliminate all of the addictions, I'm more self-aware. So I can sit with myself now. And when I do feel the shame, like even if it takes me 3 days to figure it out,
Mm.
I still sat with myself for 3 days
Yeah.
and figured it out now. Old
Yes.
Talli would have been on the phone, would have been here, there, everywhere, would have been forcing herself to do yoga, would have been like, all over the place, trying to not feel, you know,
It's, yes, 100%. And I think,
not dealing with that shame.
yes. And this is also sometimes for high performers. I coach on high performance. I love it. I love it. But sometimes here's where it gets sneaky when we need that thing, when we're just running. And I go back to like high school, right? This just popped in my mind. I was like a crazy athlete. I was using everything to not, I hated myself. So everything was escapism. Like you said, I wanted to run. Like that's how I felt. And so, I got nominated for athlete of the year out of like 800 girls, and I got like straight A's, could have graduated like half a year early, like all the things, but none of it was ever fulfilling because it was like I needed more and more achievement and more achievement and more achievement. And this is where I see sometimes with entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I need the next level. I'm like, you're still addicted to this false sense of validation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's crazy is when they sit with it and when they alchemize the shame, the I'm not good enough, and they're like, oh, but everything's going to crumble. What happens is they actually become a much more powerful force. Talk about creation manifestation. It is that direct connection with God's source, with the earth, the land, not needing anything from anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we create miracles from. That's where we stop leaking energy, like you said, to all the things of on the phone, this and that.
Yeah.
And like, trust
Yeah.
me, I've been there. But we gain our power back, and then the business actually goes to the next level, or the manifestation they want to create just suddenly starts to happen. And you're like, what? Because we're not outsourcing our power.
And we're also brought ourselves back to present, right?
Yes.
Like when I'm doing yoga, I'm doing yoga. I'm in it. I am present with myself. I'm not doing it for another reason outside of myself,
Yes.
Like, and that, like outsourcing, when you're doing something, you're fully doing it, right?
Yes.
And that's the difference.
Yes. And presence is like the most powerful. It creates
Well, that's when everything can manifest around you, is when
100%.
you're in that presence. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it be yoga or whether it be sitting on the couch or whatever it is. When you're in that presence, that's when everything can just like come.
Yes, that's literally the flow state. That's the
Yeah.
creative state. If you watch actors, that's where they're in that star quality. It's interesting because like I used to be an actress, and when there was times where I was like in that energy where everything else would dissolve, I was so present in the moment. And it was like that's the star quality. And there was times when I was acting when I was worrying about how I was looking, what people were thinking,
Yeah.
and then I sucked when those tapes happen. But it's that all it is presence. But
Mm-hmm.
until we get good with our body
Mm-hmm.
and transmute shame, alchemize it, get it, like it's honestly these trauma imprints. How I see it energetically is they just become energetic leaks everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Once we alchemize them, it's like we become this force field, and then presence is kind of a byproduct of that. It's not like we have to work for presence. We become present because we don't have 1,000 open loops and our mind isn't trying to like go in all these places. It's like,
Well,
and we can create anything.
yeah. It's so hard when you have shame, because shame pulls you away from presence. It
Yeah,
does. So, like, transmuting that shame is how you're going to find a presence, right? And that
100%.
shame is the cause of all these addictions and all these things, but it's like just sitting with the presence, being in your own stillness, being with yourself is how it's like the main thing. How, but I mean, going to
Yeah.
to well, whether it's you or whether it's just someone that you value,
Mhm.
maybe be a pastor, maybe be on Sunday morning. I love to go to church on Sunday
I
morning.
love church too.
Yeah, so it's like
Recently.
finding that presence, finding they can help shift, right?
Yeah, a
So
hundred percent.
it's making the decision that I'm going to devote to myself, um
Exactly.
this Sunday morning,
And
or
it's,
whatever it is.
yes. And it's, you will know what is meant for you. You will know. I mean, I've been to churches I didn't resonate with, and then
Yeah, me too.
some that I do. or
Yeah.
mentors that I really resonate with and other ones that I didn't, you will know intuitively who you're meant to work with. And there's no like, just because somebody is good for one person doesn't mean they're going to be the perfect person for somebody else.
Mhm.
And vice versa. It's like, that made no sense, the vice versa, but it's, you will know who is right for you with, and with what offerings, like we talked about. Like you've done some of, you've come to 2 retreats, you've come to a breathwork ceremony in Calgary, and you did my sister healing. I've had many other offerings that you didn't feel pulled to, and that's perfect and divine. And this is where like some people like will come to one offering and they're like, I'm good. Or sometimes they'll come to one, I'll see them 2 years later. Sometimes they'll come to like a number of them because they feel their soul's pulling them there, and that's the perfect thing for them. So it's like really trusting your intuition with
Yeah.
who you're meant to work with, when you're meant to work with them. um if you, again, I'm gonna talk about the addiction thing really quickly. If you are struggling with addiction, or if it's hindering or sabotaging your life and you don't feel like you're struggling with it, but it's still hindering your life in any way, shape, or form, whether it is a substance, an addiction to work, an addiction to all the things, an addiction to stress, to chaos, to a relationship that's unaligned, whatever it is, to shopping. Like, don't get me wrong, I love shopping, but I'm not a shopaholic. None of these things are inherently bad. Well, okay, I would say certain substances aren't inherently bad, but the chemical reaction is not great for your body or your energy field. But there's a lot of things that could be looked at as positive that are working against you, like the yoga thing. Great example. Well, yoga's healthy. Yeah, and not when it's used as escapism.
Hmm.
um, so I have a seminar. If you're interested, the link's in bio. It's $38 before February 28th. After February 28th, it's $88. The replay is available if you can't come live. I know some people signed up who can't come live. Um, and there's a healing in that. So if any of this resonating, you're feeling the pull, check it out. Let me know if you have any questions. And then I'm launching my retreat soon, Talli. I just changed the name. It's called the Radiance Retreat, because this year is going to be about like stepping into our radiance and like what that really is, which is like literally alchemizing these lower frequency energies and stepping into our authentic self. We're going to be like working with the archetypes and yeah, all the things. So for anybody who's like interested in that or feeling the pull to that, what what would you share with them from your experience? I know both retreats were like different. I mean, they're all different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Honestly, it was just, if you feel the pull, trust. Like it's all about going back to yourself and trusting yourself. I felt a call and a pull to you, and I felt a call and a pull to attend your masterclass, and then I felt a call and a pull to go
yeah,
to this retreat, and then my whole life started to shift within a couple months. I quit. I wanted to quit my job for years. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, why am I here? You know? And like, why do I care what these people think? Like, I used to just be so worried about what all these people thought. I'm like, I don't care. Like, so many things shifted for me. All of a sudden, I just didn't care about
yeah,
this stuff anymore. And all of a sudden, I just was like, I don't want to drink anymore.
yeah,
Like, I want to be a better version of myself. So, if you feel the call to go to her retreat or go to any of these classes, or just anything with you, or with someone else that they trust, and
100%.
like,
Yeah,
it's, do it, trust that. And also trust, like, who gives you anxiety. Like, if you walk into a place
yes,
and you got anxiety, that's not for you. Like, oh my
literally.
gosh. Like, I would force myself to stay because I thought that there was something wrong with me and I needed to fix it. No, if you have anxiety and something is giving you like bad vibes, bad jujubes, no, it's not for you. If you walk into a place and someone like you gave me peace. You gave me presence. You gave me, like, you helped me find my own sovereignty. So, like, trust that. So it all comes back
Yeah,
to me trusting myself, and whoever's listening to this, it's you trusting your own body. Listen to your body for once. If your body's giving you anxiety over a person, place, or thing, it's not for you. I
Yeah.
started to have like pretty much a panic attack before work because I shouldn't have been in there. My body
Yeah.
was like, weird, this is not for us. And then hanging out with certain people, I'd
Yes.
have a panic attack, like, this is not for me. But before I would override my system. I'd be like,
Yes.
no, 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 and
Yeah.
now I'm trusting my own body and
That.
my own sovereignty. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel right. Where I'm gonna trust you. Let's get out of here. You
Yeah.
know?
That. And then we honor, because when we don't, we're abandoning our soul. We're like dishonoring ourselves. And it's crazy. I remember I mean, in that group, like there were so many times, like, man, I was getting all the anxiety, all the things. The first event I ever went to, I was like, something is so off, but I gassed at myself again, thought,
Yeah.
anyways, whatever. But
Hmm.
I remember when I got out of there, and I had to do so much healing on the other end of that. And I did my breath work, I don't know how many times, just like the replays. And in one breath work, actually it happened in two in different ways, but it showed me, it was like, it showed me all the times that my intuition knew that something was off, but I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And that I gaslit myself and other people in that who were benefiting off of me staying stuck, and not sovereign. Like they gaslit me, and it was like it showed me, it was like your intuition was literally right every single time. And then
Yeah.
it showed me where in a different one, like where I was giving away my power, to honestly, like, people who behind the scenes, because in that specific circumstance I saw behind the scenes eventually, because we became, my ex, like, really close to the guy who ran the whole community. And I'm like, actually, these people who they're portraying themselves to be is very different than now what I'm perceiving. And I'm like, I gave so much of my power away to somebody who's literally hasn't created anything that I ever would want to create in my life.
Yeah.
Like, not good
If
relationships,
you
not,
don't want to be them, like you probably shouldn't be hanging out with them if they don't have qualities that you admire. And like I would look at your life and I'm like, yes, I want to be doing those things. Yes, I love everything about what you're doing. I love what you say. I love what you're promoting, the sisterhood love and soul
yeah,
sisterhood. And really, like, there's no jealousy anymore, there's no competition. We're rising above all
yes,
that, we're working together. Like, this
that,
what I would see in you. And
oh,
I'm like, this is what I admire. This is what I love. This is what I want in my life, because you are the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And if
yes,
you don't absolutely admire all 5 of these people or 3 of these people or whatever you hang out with, then they're not for you, because we
yes,
are frequency, we are energy, and we take on each other's frequencies.
a
Like,
hundred
we
percent.
will, and unfortunately, we'll take on their shit, So we have to be pretty careful.
Yes, and even on a neuropath, like in our neural pathways, we have mirror neurons, so our thought patterns start to mirror people. And like, I just want to illuminate this. Like what Tally's saying is like, she's not putting me on a pedestal. It was like, this resonates, and I think this is so important because I'm so over this whole like hierarchy thing. It's like, even my like mentors or like retreats I go to, it's not like, oh, I'm like putting them as God. It's like, no, I resonate with them, and it's power to power. This is where our true power is. This is where a true sisterhood is. And thank you for saying the thing about sisterhood. I had this conversation the other day because, like, honestly, I had to go through a lot of lack of sisterhood in my life to be like, you know what? I'm going to stand for this. I'm going to create this field of resonance. And anybody who wants to stay in competition or wants to stay in cattiness, they don't need to come in. But those who actually want true sisterhood, like, competition is such a trap. I have a whole podcast on this. It is such a trap. Like, collaboration and having each other's backs and sisterhood code and all of these things. Like, I mean, you came to the sisterhood healing I did a couple years ago. But all of those, if you're feeling like you have competition with other women, or you need to like control everything or like talk behind their back, firstly, there's a sisterhood wound there. And secondly, if you're finding yourself in communities like that, and I get it, I have been there, like maybe consider doing some trauma alchemy to heal that wound, and then to find communities who truly have amazing women supporting women, because that is the vibe. Like, people sometimes look at my, like, the other women in my life, and they're like, how do you have such an amazing group of people? Like, how have you built such a positive community? And I'm like, because it's such a high value of mine, and I hold that as a boundary, as a filter. I don't want people in my community, whether it's like friends I'm hanging out with, or whether it's at a retreat, or whether it's in an offering, um, who are going to cut other women down or other people down. That's not it. And honestly, it's like I'm so passionate about it, because I'm curious your experience, but like, people have shared with me, um, that I've created such an amazing community where people actually uplift others and aren't competitive, and they're self-actualizing and supporting other people in doing that. And they're like, what? I've never seen this in the online space. And I'm like, I truly believe it's because I had to go through the lack of that to be like, you know what, I'm creating my own, and it's only going to be this vibe. And I believe if there's one really bad apple, like, it will affect the whole group. So I have no place or tolerance for that. Like, people are if they're cutting somebody else, another woman down, or another person down, if it's a co-ed offering, or just like in a group of friends, I have no space for that in my life anymore. And some people might think that's harsh, but we become what we're around. And when we allow that in our life, and to be completely honest, there's been times that I faltered and allowed that in my life, and everything would go to shit.
I know, it
Like,
feels like chaos.
it's
It all of a sudden,
chaos.
it's like, it feels like chaos when you allow that door to open and you allow that gossip to continue because of whatever reason. And then all of a sudden, like, it is anxiety. Like, because when you go from
Yes.
a place of peace and then, like, you test the waters a little bit and you're like, whoa, no, I don't want this.
Yes.
Like, oh,
And it's like, it's that same energetic of like, when we're connected to God's source, to our truth, the truth of our soul, it is that peace. Doesn't mean that it's easy. You will be initiated. I believe God carves us into our best version, and it's not always easy, because speaking the truth, or doing what our soul called us to do, like,
it upsets
it's
people.
it upsets people. We're not necessarily going to fit into like the common constructs. It kind of wakes people up, but it wakes people up to their sovereignty. Like, sometimes even I have shame about like sharing certain parts of my life where I'm like, I'm traveling, I'm like, oh, can I share this? And it's like, I go through this inner battle. I've never shared this before. I go through this inner battle of like, okay, I want to share this because I want people to know it's possible, and they can build a life of sovereignty and freedom and traveling, and like the best of the best quality food, the best group of friends, the best of everything. Like, they get to have that. And like, I didn't have this, and I created this, and I want to show them how so they can create it. But then there's this part of me that's like, oh no, like, are people going to judge me? And so, anyways, I don't know how we got on this whole shame thing. But it's like we get to have the best of the best, but what we say yes to, we're allowing in our life.
Oh, 100%.
And
And
sometimes we have to hold a boundary and be like, you know what? I love you. And this manipulation, backstabbing, lack of sisterhood vibe is actually really affecting the group, or it's affecting me. And you know what, if you're willing to like step out of that and show up in this your highest version, then I would love to have you as a friend in the community. But if you are not willing to do that, like, I love you from a distance,
mhm.
because then we're also enabling that behavior, and it's negatively affecting our life, everyone's life we're touching. Oh my goodness, sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, I can't really remember what I was saying. Um, I know that this this is my second live I've ever done. And like last year, I did my first live with you, and my whole nervous system was shaking the whole time. And I was still, I was still working. Or, no, I wasn't working at the bar, or I just quit. So I had
You
just
have just
been
quit.
out of that environment, and I still saw you as someone who was better than me a little bit, you know, like I was still working through that.
Yeah.
And now I can show up. So for anyone who wants to go to your stuff and work with you, now I can sit here with you as an equal, you know.
Yes.
And it took a couple years
Yeah.
because I did the work for it. But
Yes.
I mean, it took a little bit, but you still
Yes.
accepted me in, even though I wasn't on that same frequency as like I wanted to.
But
That's the thing.
yeah, but it was your intention, babe. You've always
Yeah.
had your intention.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a difference between having wounds. I mean, we all have wounds, but having wounds and having an ill intent and them running you versus a positive intent. I've always gotten such a positive intention from you.
Hmm.
Even way back when we were in that community and you came to the sisterhood healing and you came to the retreat. You've
And I was
always,
a mess then. Like I was a mess at that point. Like it's crazy that I am like in my sovereign self now and who I was then, you know? Like what a
yeah,
massive transformation. Running in circles for 7 years
yeah,
to stepping into my sovereignty, and now sitting here when I was looking at you like you were just so amazing and everything I wanted to be, to now being able to sit with you
yeah,
as an equal and in love and in honor of you, you know, like I honor you for everything that you have done, and you have been a true catalyst in my life, like
oh my
in
God.
such a beautiful way, but in an empowering way, not in a dependency way at all.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Like I've heard this comment before when a healer who I won't mention her name, but she's like, she worked with me years ago and she didn't have a healing business. Now she's traveling the world, has her own healing business, helping so many people. She's like, you were the first person I ever worked with who I didn't feel like I needed, but I actually wanted to work with. And that's my goal. It's like now you're sitting here not looking at me on a pedestal. Maybe that was your perception before. And you literally self-actualized into your power. But I always, and this is a key for any facilitator, I always saw you in your power.
Yeah.
I never, and I hope you never thought like I looked down on you. I always see people in their power. That's how we help them self actualize.
Yeah. And you know, I actually had a meeting with you after I had done drugs and after I had drank, and I was like, oh, I just ruined myself. You were like, no, you never judged me, but you were stern with me. Like, no, like this is, I forget how you put it, but like you never judged me. But you were
Yes.
also very stern with me, like this is not who you want to be. You have to start making some better decisions, but also stop sitting in shame. Like, if
Yes.
you want to grow as a person, you can't be so hard on yourself, because I was hating myself when I
Yes.
showed. I don't even know why I didn't even want to show up to that. I think it was like after event meetup that we
Yeah.
showed up, and I didn't even want to show up because I was embarrassed and shameful of myself for being in such a high vibration and then
Yeah.
drinking and doing drugs. I was like, what a loser, right? And
And that's
and
what, sorry.
sorry. No, and you just gave me that love and compassion, but also you have your boundaries up too. Like
Yeah.
if you want to be my friend, like that kind of behavior is not going to work. So I wasn't
Yes.
able to get as close to you as I wanted to be if I was going to be carrying that with me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But it was true
That's,
love. You didn't shame me for it.
that's such an important piece. And I, especially for anybody facilitating any of this type of work, because And like in that container, here's the thing. Okay, there's a couple things I want to touch on, and then we'll wrap this up. But I think this is important because like when I'm facilitating, I do step into a different role. I'm responsible for holding the space, or if I'm mentoring, like I was in California in November and one of my private clients was there and she came over. I was staying with a friend of mine who also took some of my offerings, who also is a business partner, but it's different energized for each thing. So it's like uh, when my private clients came over, we had like non-alcoholic prosecco, and it was like so fun, right? I'm not gonna be calling her out directly in that environment. It's like we're hanging out as friends. Versus in our mentorship sessions, I'm stepping into a different role. Versus a facilitation of a breathwork ceremony. I mean, I've had family members do breathwork ceremonies even, and I have to. I'm I'm even though I'm like younger than them, I have to take on that role in that experience, right? Because it's my responsibility. I'm there to support the trauma alchemy, the self actualization to help them break the chain. So like I I I don't I'm like one of the biggest keys of like facilitation, especially with trauma, is you can't judge. And who am I to judge? I'm not perfect. Like
Yeah.
I have a history, you know what I mean? Like I fall from grace sometimes. I mean, the other day I went through literally yesterday, I went through a big soul lesson and I had a big wound get activated. And I was like, had to have a clearing conversation with somebody, like to share like very vulnerable things. And like I was like bawling my eyes out. I literally shared this with like the soul led life community because it's one of the containers I'm running right now, and I do audio drops in there, and I'm like, so everything I talked about yesterday, we had clearing conversations, whatever. Well, here's me in the thick of it. I just had this thing. I cried my eyes out, and now I feel at peace and relief, and the friendship, like created a more solid foundation. So like we can't judge people for literally anything. And if I'm facilitating something, then it's my, like I'm obligated in a sense to God, to source, to their potential to say it as it is from a place of love and compassion, but no bullshit. Because how can I guide somebody to their potential and to self actualize, the manifest, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing, to manifest the best fucking life, if I see where they're trapped and I'm not willing to just call it out? I can't.
You
I'm just
didn't,
beating
and
around the bush.
you didn't call out the addiction with me. You called out the shame. So
Because
that's what was the beauty of it, because
that,
that's the truth of it. And when someone speaks truth, like there is like an instant level of respect and like, whoa, hey, we're not
yes,
talking about addiction here and what I did. We're talking about why I did it
yes,
and like the shame underneath it that I need to
that,
deal with.
exactly. Because the addictions, literally, it's the byproduct.
Yeah.
It's like this strategy to not feel the thing. The shame was the thing, and you
Yeah.
were looping. So, as I directed you to, or guided you, or whatever word resonates, to not shame yourself because it was keeping you in spiral, it started to free you from that shame and that energetic, which is the root cause of what you did anyways. So if you stayed in that, then you probably would have had the same behavior to do the thing. And
Hmm.
so I just illuminated, all I did was illuminate the root cause of what was having that pattern occur, and guide you to shift out of the shame into freedom. And then from that place, it's like that I need to do this thing starts to dissipate.
Yeah.
And so,
The
yeah.
birds are going crazy. If I keep looking out here, they're like dancing in front of my window. They're like, hey, it's
Oh
so
my goodness.
wild. They're so cute right now.
Oh my God. Okay, we should wrap this up. We've been
Okay.
almost going for 2 hours. This
Oh
is
my
so
God. Okay. Yeah.
Talli,
No, I love you. I
I
love
love
spending
you
time with you. I love
so
that, like, we haven't talked in a while. So I love that we just got to connect again.
much.
And I'm excited to connect in the future with you. And I absolutely adore you. So I honor you and thank you for being such a huge catalyst in my life.
Oh, thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. This has been a long time coming. I remember at the retreat at Half Moon Haven, like you were like, oh, I didn't know the full ins and outs, but you were like, I was stuck in that cycle for 7 years and I literally stopped X, Y, and Z right after your retreat. Your last retreat, I left my job. I got sick, and I was like, what? I didn't even know this. And then we talked about coming on, and then it just wasn't time, and now it was perfect timing. So thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I love you. Let me know next time you're in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I miss you. And like this, oh, oh my god. Okay, Opal's like literally on his back right now. I have to show you
But you
guys.
should see these birds. They're going crazy.
I'm like, what is going on in this frequency? This
There's
is the
so
thing.
much.
Like, we get to, like, with community, it's like I feel like right now all of these constructs of these like false hierarchies are crumbling, and I just
Mhm.
want to share this as like an embodied example of like, yeah, Talli and I met in that community. We barely, I don't even know if we talked. I was going through a lot when we were in Sedona
I
with
was
that
going
whole thing.
through a lot. I don't think we
Yeah,
talked. We talked
I
for like a second.
like I like really kept to myself. Anyways, I was going through a lot. And then you came to the sisterhood thing. I remember you signed up the morning of. I was in Hawaii, and then you came to the retreat. And it's like, so like you came to these things as quote a client. I don't know why. I don't really like that word, but it's like we're also friends. And I think there's this paradigm where um you can't, like, I actually have a mentor that becomes friends with all of her clients and whatever, and she's like, fuck the rules. And I'm kind of like that same way. It's like, yes, in facilitation, I'm in facilitation, but also it's like we can connect as a community. And like, I've literally hired clients before for their gifts and their skills that are different than mine. And I just think this is the new earth that we're stepping into, where everyone's gifts get a shine. Everyone's gifts are different. I mean, we've even talked about collabing together, which I still want to do, by the way. um we live in different places, timing hasn't aligned yet, and it will in divine timing. But I just think like this is the new earth. It's like, how do we support other people with our gifts, and how do other people support us with theirs? And it's like, it doesn't need to be this like weird, I have power over you type
Yeah,
of like,
totally, totally. It's like we're walking beside each other. No one's
yes,
ahead and no one's behind. We're just enjoying this journey together, you know?
exactly, it's
That's
power to
where we should
power.
be. Yeah.
And that's the most powerful energetic to create, because two powerful torrential fields creates a massive one, right? This is
Hmm.
also how we leverage the quantum field with like a group of people going through a process together, you know? And it's yeah, I think that's like one of the main things with like, if you're like, oh my God, am I in like a thing with a false guru who has power over me? Does it feel like power to power? Sure, you might look up to them and admire them because they're embodied in something you desire. Like, I admire all my mentors and coaches. Like,
But it was different when I admired you because I didn't want to give you all my dependency. I didn't want to,
that
there wasn't that need to be a part of everything that you did. I admired you. I loved you.
exactly.
I looked at you with this beauty and this grace and all this perfectness. No, not perfectness, but like this poise.
Perfect.
This poise is the word I was looking for. You have this beautiful poise about you. And it was like I didn't need to be dependent on you. I didn't need you.
Yes.
And that's why where all these false prophets and gurus, they make you feel like you need them, right?
100%.
You
It's
know,
not.
like you and I haven't talked in like how long? Who cares? You know,
Yeah.
like we're talking
Yeah.
like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
Like cuz
Yeah.
there's no
You're,
dependency here. It's just
yeah.
empowerment.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. And it's, yeah, the false prophets, they're all like, it's the narcissistic pathology. If you guys want a great book on that, It's Not You is a great book. Dr. Amani, I studied with her a while ago. Like, she is amazing. She's amazing. Free YouTube content as well. Like, the pathology is explained in there. But this is it. It is the power to power. It is like, how do we get to all shine in our soul purpose, in our gifts? And that is true abundance. This is how we access abundance. And, you know, sometimes it's like, okay, this person, I admire what they've created in this. Great. Like, my skating coaches back in the day, I admired like how they could skate in ways that I desired to learn from. But I'm not like, oh, you're giving you all my life, you're God.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best analogy I can think of.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
they're embodied in something that I desire to be embodied in, or they've created something. Like, I mean, my whole business has been divine guidance and intuitively guided. But there's been times where I've hired certain business coaches because I'm like, hey, they've created this thing, and like, I want their advice on certain things so I can collapse time. Not because they're God, but because they have understandings that I don't have yet until I have them. And I'm like, amazing, got the codes. Thank you, appreciate it. Like, that was fun. And you'll just know when you're guided to you'll know when you're guided to things. It will feel like a subtle pull, and like, yes, I want to do this. And it might feel a little bit scary because you haven't done it before, but it won't feel like you're grasping at the thing. That is a major red flag.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll close it up here. Thank you,
Yeah.
Talli.
All right.
Again,
Love you.
I love you so much. Thank you. I'm going to put the information for the addiction and compulsive habits healing seminar is in the link in my bio. Again, it's $38 until the 28th of February. After that, it's going to be $88. It's going to be so powerful. So come live if you can, if you feel the pull. If you're dealing with any sort of compulsive habits or addictions, there's zero shame here. We're not shaming you. We're just, honestly, I'm just there to support you and provide a healing activation, imprint activation, so you can heal the aspect that was causing that shame, essentially, transmute it, better said, and be free of it. Or if you're supporting anybody else. And then also stay tuned for my retreat information, guys. It's going to be October 2nd to 5th, 2026. And it'll be on just outside of BC on the Sunshine Coast. We're going to do a lot of somatic embodiments, magnetism practices. It's called, okay, I changed the name recently. So it's called the Radiance Retreat. So it's really about embodying your radiance. Not like, I have to heal this because something's wrong with me. How do we embody your radiance? And they're super fun and very powerful. So I'll leave it there. I might potentially have one in Europe the following year. It's going to be a luxury retreat.
Yes. Yes. Why not? Let's do it.
It's all like, I swear I had this idea and then all the things started coming. I'm like, whoa, this is happening really fast. But I'm planning for that to happen 2027. So
Yeah, let's
in
do
Italy.
it. I mean,
Oh
retreats
my
in
God,
general are the best.
like,
It's the best.
I already have 2 people that are like, I'm there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put the deposit down soon. It's in this like castle, but they also have like a yoga room where we'll do breath work and somatic practices. And like, yeah. So that's in the works too for, 2027. So this one's 2026 fall. The next one will be 2027. It'll be a little bit of a different vibe, but the core of it will be the same. All about, honestly, your radiance, your expansion, your self-actualization, you becoming a force to create whatever you want in your life. That's it. The best quality relationships, health, food, all of it. Like, whatever your soul is desiring. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Thank you, Talli. I appreciate you.
Love
And
you.
I'll let you go. I just took 2 hours of your time. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Love you. Bye, honey.
Bye.
Hello, Sacred Soul. I hope you loved that episode. And if you did, I would so appreciate if you could share and tag me on the social medias at Jill Alana Nixon. And if this brought you value, I would be eternally grateful if you could leave a 5-star review. And if you did, take a picture and email it to teamjillalana@gmail.com, and we will gift you a free cord cutting soul revival mini activation, a jai activation. Put that in the show notes, the email, and thank you so much. We will see you again next week on the Prosperity Portal podcast.